England has seen the biggest relaxation of the lockdown since it was imposed 10 weeks ago, with as many as 6 people allowed to meet outdoors together. There has been criticism from some scientists that this is too much too soon. A key part of easing the lockdown is the government's ability to identify and to tackle outbreaks of coronavirus through a new system of contact tracing. The Prime Minister promised that the system in England would be up and running and successful from today. But there have been quite a few complaints that it is not ready. A further 111 deaths were reported in the last 24-hour period, and it comes as an additional 445 deaths were added after a delay in reporting that they were linked to coronavirus. And it takes the official number of people who've died in the UK after testing positive for COVID-19 to 39,045. So with the latest on the easing of the lockdown, here's our health editor, Hugh Pym.
Enjoying new freedom in England today to meet outdoors in larger groups with social distancing. The rules in Wales changed today as well. Scotland and Northern Ireland have already loosened the guidelines on meeting outdoors. So as the restrictions are eased, how will the authorities monitor the spread of the virus and try to keep it in check? A full testing and contact tracing system is seen as essential. As well as testing people, ministers say tracking down recent contacts of those who test positive will be vital to stopping the spread of the virus. Contact tracers have been appointed and the system launched, but already there are concerns. One contact tracer, who wanted to be anonymous, told us he'd been given very little work since the launch last Thursday.
I haven't actually got much to do. I haven't really done anything today. I had one call on Saturday. Other than that, I haven't called anyone so far. I'm earning £1,500 a month, which is quite good for sitting on my arse doing nothing.
We've heard reports from some contact tracers that since they started work in England last Thursday, they've had very little, if anything, to do. What do you think is actually happening with the system?
We've hired, as you know, 25,000 people to work as contact tracers, and the level of incidence of disease has come down. And so actually, we have more capacity than we need. This is a good thing.
They were pressed for the numbers of people so far contacted and said those figures would be available soon. Then there's the R, that's the virus reproduction number. This shows how fast the virus is spreading. Anything above 1 is when an individual's infecting more than one other person. The aim is to keep it below that, which means the virus is receding. The latest official estimate is a range between 0.7 and 0.9, which doesn't leave much headroom. Data on infections and deaths will be closely scrutinised. The daily number of new cases has been falling. The line shows the rolling average, that's the trend, though this doesn't include people who haven't been tested, that's thousands more. The figure for reported deaths has also been coming down steadily, but the rolling average has stalled in the last few days.
In the last week or two, we've seen a relatively persistent steadying of the death numbers and a very long tail, if you like, of this epidemic curve. So we'll be watching very closely to see if that's maintained and very persistent, or if even that increases in coming weeks.
An extra 445 deaths have been added to the total because of delayed reporting in previous weeks. One health leader has said this is a dangerous moment and easing of lockdown measures should be painstakingly slow as scientists watch developments. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
Now, Scotland's lockdown guidelines could be enforced by new laws if they are flouted by a minority of people. That's according to the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon. Restrictions were relaxed on Friday, allowing more people to meet outdoors. The First Minister said that the vast majority had complied with recommendations not to travel and to keep gatherings small, but she said a minority had ignored the rules. Some children in England are going back to school today as the government eases the lockdown and lifts some restrictions on movement. Schools are being asked to welcome children in reception, Year 1 and Year 6. Some nurseries have opened too. Schools have kept their doors open throughout the lockdown for vulnerable children and those of key workers. Our education editor, Branwen Jeffries, has been to a primary school in Tamworth in Staffordshire.
Morning, Alicia. At this school, a welcome organised to run like clockwork. First to arrive, Year 6. For Riley and his mum Louise, relief that he's back for his last term.
Like, even though he's going to be back for about 6-7 weeks tops, and then have another 6 weeks off. It's still nice for him to go and get a little bit of learning, because we couldn't get a lot done at home.
I think I'm going to actually be with my friends as much as I used to be.
All right then, off we go.
But this is the poignant reality of Riley's new class. No hugs, no quiet jokes to friends, instead the loneliness of social distancing.
Leon, you're down here, sweetheart.
Into a classroom, each to a single desk, no books or pens shared.
Riley, you're here, sweetie.
From lockdown to the new rules of school.
That's it. So if you're...
Good morning, everybody. Hi.
Even assembly is now online, from the head teacher's office to the classrooms. The first job, to reassure the children.
It is so lovely to have you all back in school.
What about you, Villiers? What have you been up to?
Most Year 6 pupils were here today, but some parents of reception or Year 1 children kept them home.
They know that school doesn't look normal. I think there's still fear in terms of the pandemic that we're going through. I'm hoping that the more we can show that school is successfully open at the moment and it is safe, that more parents will send their children back.
Through the day, washing their hands, even break time in the same small group. So they're back with some of their friends, but having to keep their distance, and they can't mix with any other children in the school. So although this is a day that many of them will have been looking forward to, it's not back to school as normal.
It's a bit strange. We're more spaced out, whereas we're usually quite close together.
Makes me happier because I know I get to see the people that I've been with my whole entire life.
In Wales, there is no date for schools to open. Scotland and Northern Ireland start their return in August. Under the trees, lessons outdoors will be more common, one of the many precautions at this school. But still, warnings, England has taken this step too soon.
But we're following the scientists who tell us that it's too soon, that contact tracing isn't working, and who say that in a fortnight's time, contact tracing could be working, and the level of infection could be half what it is now.
For Riley, the end of a tiring but rewarding day, still absorbing how different school looks now. Brownman Jeffries, BBC News.